coach, and we're going to be talking about his shift from being a staunch meat eater to being an inspirer in the vegan community. So this is going to be a very powerful conversation. Please give StreamYard permission to use your name so we'll know who's commenting. If you have any questions, please put the questions in the comments. I know that a lot of us are struggling speaking with people and not understanding how people can be eating meat, how they're not grasping the whole concept. So please ask us the questions you have. We're here to help. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. And so welcome, Bjorn. I'm excited to have you here. Please tell the listeners just a little bit about your story, about who you are now and what caused you to become vegan. And where you're calling in from. Where are you? And to everybody else, tell us where you are, because we got people all over the world.
Thank you so much, Marakita. I'm so honored to be here, and I'm so grateful for your invitation. I'm really, really excited about sharing some of my story today, because I think it's so important we get to share our messages and to share our stories. And yeah, I'm from Germany. Calling in from Germany. It's evening here right now. Kids are just to bed. And yeah, so I did quite a transformation for myself on several levels. I used to be this, like, you mention vegan, you mention not eating meat, and I was just really defensive. Don't talk to me about this. Where do I get extra meat for my plate now? And I want to have meat with meat. And yeah, I was just, I'm not so proud about it now after I realized it, but I can still see why I thought like this back then. And I also changed.
Sorry, I just want to interrupt. What were you feeling? If you can go back to that person that was so defensive, what was going through your mind at that time? Because this is really important. You're talking about you being a different person. What was that person thinking that had to respond in that way? Hi, Tricia.
So I believed that we need meat and the other animal products, and I believe that they are healthy. Of course, not all of them, but if you get like good quality and so on, then I did really believe they are healthy and I need them. And whenever someone tried to attack this belief or somehow oppose my belief, then I felt like I'm under attack. And I guess deep down, I kind of knew that something is not aligned with how I believe or how I act with my values. And so whenever this topic came up, I got triggered. And not in a very aggressive way or something, but for myself, inside of me, I got triggered and I felt like I need to defend myself from this. And this was before I was even ready to think about veganism or to inform myself, which is really crazy because I also trained scientist and I use these scientific methods to find out the truth, to find out what's actually true. Is there any research for other fields? But I did not have the idea that I could use this also for my health, my nutrition, for any area in life. And so whenever this topic came up, I felt attacked.
Well, that's good to know. Because we've got to learn from who we are at different times in our life. So I don't know why my signal's going in and out, but I'm still going to keep going. Anyway, yeah, looking back at the person we were when we were so defensive is very important. And that makes us we're able to relate to people in a better way when we can remember who we used to be. So here you were, this defensive person who was a scientist, and you had all the information at your fingertips, right? So what shifted for you?
So quite many things shifted in my life at that time. So like when I go back a little bit further, as a teenager or a young adult, I was convinced I'm this really introvert guy who is really stiff and who doesn't show emotions. And if you would have asked any of my friends, they would have told you I never dance, I never sing, I just don't go to parties where I know this is going to happen. And this was all me being really insecure and just not feeling comfortable with myself. And I had a stage where I wanted to start a family. And I knew there were a few things which are not so coherent about myself, where I was not being the true me. And I wanted to work on this before I become a father, such that I can be a really good father and I am not in a situation where I give to my children some limiting beliefs or some bad reference values. And so I started before becoming a father with investing myself into personal development and really working on myself, working on learning about values and beliefs and how to change them, and learning about what's the purpose of life, which was very unclear for me in the beginning. And so I was in a process where I was transforming in different areas already. And I thought I would be really open-minded now, working on all this and doing all these personal development stuff, starting to do meditation, for example. But I was not that open-minded in regard of nutrition. But I was working on myself, and I believe skills or habits like being open-minded or being open to question things, they work like a muscle. You don't just learn them in one moment and then you master it. You kind of have to go to the gym, to the emotional gym or to the mental gym to train them, and then they get stronger. And if you, for example, train to be in an uncomfortable situation, if you train to leave your comfort zone, you train this like a muscle, and then you are able to use this in different situations as well. So I trained leaving the comfort zone and being open to something which is new to me, which is opposing my truth, my beliefs, is out of my comfort zone, I believe. And I think that at some point was developed far enough that I was open to hear this. And of course, I got many seeds planted in my mind before, but I was not so aware of them. I even started to watch What the Health and stopped because I said that I don't believe any of it. And
wow, I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that because I think, what in the world do you mean you don't believe any of it? But it's wonderful to hear you say that because there's so many people that get frustrated. They would say, "Oh, well, he's never going to be vegan." I love that. So sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, that's exciting to hear the transformation. So keep going on your story.
yeah, so there was then the point where I was ready for the information. And it also was delivered to me in the right mode, in the right language. And for me, it actually was the movie The Game Changers. So I'm a really enthusiastic athlete and I just love that topic. And when I find out something I can do to have more performance or to be healthier, then this is something I'm really interested in. And also health was very, very important to me always. So I was convinced that I'm a very health conscious person, even though I ignored this one area of health and nutrition somehow, but I thought I didn't. And so I wouldn't eat any artificial ingredients, no colors, no sweeteners or anything, because I believed they might give me cancer. And I wouldn't eat lots of sweets and so on. But I also had this belief that I'm an athlete. I do so much sport. I'm kind of protected. I can eat something unhealthy and just do a little bit more sports, which I know now is not so true. And but always I was also scared of some of the chronic disease. So I was scared of cancer, for example, because I had the impression that you have no control, that it can just hit you, and it's nothing you can do about it, and you can't predict it. You can't. So of course, a few things like smoking is not a good idea. Of course, I never touched a cigarette in my life, but besides that, I had the impression people just get cancer and you don't know why. Now I know better, and so this topic of cancer and health and athletics, this really hit me. So this was really my language. This was the right channel for me, the right mode to talk to me or to show this to me. And also the format of the Game Changers, which is like really cinematic, and they show these amazing athletes and have great scenes with music and everything. So this always was good for me. But there was one detail which was also crucial, which was what made the difference for me between What the Health and the Game Changers. And that's that they showed the science. When they said something like the beetroots raise your endurance around 19% for bench press, for example, or 21, I think, for cycling and so on, down in the corner, there was the reference. And I could check that reference because that I can do. And What the Health, I think, didn't do it, or I just didn't see it. But they always had that reference down there, and it had the right format, just like I would have my reference in my papers, in my publications. So that gave credibility to me for this movie. And so all these things together, and me being just ready, my wife was actually pushing me for several months to watch it. And I just refused all the time. But then at some point I gave in. I don't know why. But this really then got to me. And it was an amazing experience. And I changed overnight when I watched this.
Well, that's amazing. Well, I have a lot of comments, but I love the fact that, okay, so you this very analytical mind that you have, that you're able to really not just only have the analytical mind, but that you wanted to really search your soul, right? So that's beautiful that you took these great two elements and combined them. Is amazing. And that you wanted the research. And so a lot of times we're wondering, how can we make this more appealing to certain people? And now you're answering the questions in this conversation. Well, this was more appealing to you than What the Health, right? And so because there's a lot of men out there that we want to appeal to, and what is it? How can we? Some men don't care about animals. They're going to want to hear something different, right? They care about their health. They want to be strong. And so we're trying to, I had Jeff Palmer on here, and we're talking about that image of the manly man, right? You see them, they got to be eating 100 hamburgers or all these awful contests where people are eating, hot dogs, as many as they can. I don't even understand that. But like, wow, look, they just ate 100 hot dogs in a minute. It's like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? I mean, where's the rationale? But anyway, how do we appeal to the men that don't care about the planet necessarily, and they don't care about that? And so having you and Jeff, like I just mentioned, as role models is amazing, and that gives me hope, right? Because it's wonderful to hear someone say, oh yeah, I changed overnight, no problem. But to hear someone say, like you did, like I was resistant, and then as time went on, the seeds were planted, and boom, it was that clarity that you had. That gives us all hope. No one is hopeless. Like, we don't have to feel like there's ever anyone hopeless. Let them say they'll never be vegan. Let them laugh all they want. We just don't know what's coming in the future. So that's a wonderful example of that. And so you were talking about your wife. Tell us about her and what made her switch to veganism. Was she a vegetarian, or when did this happen? What was it that caused her to switch also?
So she was also a bit on the path already. So what we actually implemented for us, and this was her idea, is that we reduce our meat intake already. And we also tried new things. We had like vegetarian days, and at some point we also had like just one meat day per week. But this was like just a few weeks before we actually changed. And when we did, that night when we watched the Game Changers, which was 27th of January, by the way, this is our this day. We still know, we celebrate every year. And at that point, this is the where I took over as we will do this, or at least I will do this now. And she was a little bit hesitant to do this, the whole thing just overnight, because she was pregnant at that time. And we just didn't know if it's safe. This was the first time we really informed ourselves a little bit upon this topic of veganism. And we had all these beliefs that it's not healthy to be vegan, especially not for children, or if you're pregnant, that it can be dangerous. And of course, this is all not true. We know now that we informed us, but that was something which she was a little bit hesitant, which I can absolutely understand. And I actually also was hesitant with her change a little bit the first moment before I informed myself. So I said, for myself, I just want to do this, and you don't have to, but I want to do this. And then, of course, she wanted to do it as well. But we first wanted to be a bit more sure that it's actually safe for her, which we still did. Like, we still emptied our fridge of everything we had the next day, and just didn't buy any animal products which we were aware of from that day on. We still had some surprise moments where we thought, what? There's eggs in there, or we didn't know about honey. And then we informed ourselves. So we really dig deep into the research, and we watched like almost every video of nutritionfacts.org, and we watched many more documentaries, and we read research ourselves. So we really wanted to be sure that we do the right thing for our unborn child.
Well, what did your doctor say? Sorry to interrupt you, bother you. What did your doctor say? That's what I want to know. For the baby, for the obstetric.
We had some experiences. So we visited a doctor once and talked about it, and she was very aggressive. She was really shouting at my wife how she could do this to her child. And this was really crazy. And actually, the good thing was that we were both at this doctor. I actually don't remember really why. I think we wanted to check our blood values. And so we went to that doctor who was supposed to do it. And we had both an appointment and wanted to ask her about whether she would do that, and her recommendations of which blood values would you check, which minerals or which vitamins and so on. And we had our own ideas. We knew we wanted to definitely check B12 and a few others, but that's why we've been there both together. But she was in first, alone, and at some point she asked me to join. So she somehow interrupted the conversation and said she would prefer if I come in. And afterwards, she told me how she was treated there by this doctor, which was really not very kind. And then I joined the discussion, and luckily we were quite well informed already, and I could just give her all the scientific facts and tell her like this vitamin is coming from there, this is coming from there, and actually, did you know that animals don't make B12 and so on? And well, at some point she just didn't know what to say anymore, and so we didn't convince her in any way. I guess maybe we planted a seed, but she couldn't argue anymore. And then and she also didn't test our blood.
She didn't test your blood.
No, she didn't want to.
Gosh,
So
that is so
she
interesting.
was maybe in a similar stage as I was just a few months before, where she felt attacked by this. And I can understand that because I was there too. And that's something what happens so often, that you say, I do this, and people project it immediately onto themselves and feel like they have to defend themselves for what they're doing. And that's quite natural.
Yeah,
So
that's very true. I mean, if I say I'm vegan, then right away people tell me, well, I don't eat that much meat. But you don't
yes,
have to explain, right? I'm not asking you how much meat you eat. I'm just saying I'm vegan or I'm plant-based. I'm not asking for you to explain your food, you know. But anyway, you're right. That boom, that's like the first answer, the first response. So yeah,
yeah.
I don't,
So
how do we,
even
go ahead.
if you don't approach someone and try to sell him the vegan idea or something, you just have to show what you're doing, tell what you're doing, and people will automatically project this onto themselves, and you have some impact on people the moment you show what you're doing or share it.
Yeah, well, the fact that they have to say that says something's, you know, something clicked in their mind. You know, they made the process of like, oh, wait a minute, how much meat do I eat? Or, you know, or even like I've got to say something that feels right to them, you know, that's going to make them feel at peace, right? Because there must be some conflict there. Why would they say that? Right?
Yeah. Well, of course, we could just at that moment when the doctor was so aggressive to us, we were also offended and we were not happy with it. But now revising this memory, I would give it a different meaning. It's actually a great learning experience for us in debating, and it also shows that this doctor actually cares about the topic. If she wouldn't care, she wouldn't react this aggressively, right? And even though she might be not ready, like you had this amazing interview with Angela Crawford explaining the phases of change. She's in the first one maybe, or was back then, I don't know now. And even though we probably reached something in her, otherwise she wouldn't have reacted so emotionally. And this is a success already.
Well, you're right. You planted a seed, especially the fact that you were ready to provide the facts, which is amazing. And then that goes back to, I mean, it's easy to get mad at doctors and say, why didn't they tell me about this? But they're not trained. I know in the United States, they're not trained for that. They're trained to write prescriptions, give medicine. That's it. Write prescription, give medicine, surgeries. They're not trained for nutrition. So we can get mad at the doctors all we want, but they need to have nutrition training. You know, they need to be have more answers than just writing prescriptions. So what's it like over there for the doctors? Do you know? And well, do you know what it's like? Do they have to have, I mean, our doctors only have to have 20 something hours of nutrition, and then they don't even have to have that.
It's very similar here.
Okay.
So I talked to a few medical students I know, and they all confirmed that they don't get training there or very, very little.
That's really
That's
sad.
the similar is almost, it's very similar. The system is very similar to yours in Germany and I guess in all Europe.
Yes, we're not taught prevention. We're taught, okay, you get sick, here's the medicine, now take it for the rest of your life. How many people have been told that? You're going to have to be on this medicine for the rest of your life. Now, do we get mad at the doctors, or do we do something in making sure that the doctors have this, you know, that they're studying nutrition or that this is part of their program too? I mean, getting angry isn't solving anything, and getting, well, it's got to be taking action. How do we make sure that our doctors have what they need? Um, I don't know the answer to that. So anyone, I mean, if you have ideas, anybody, please let me know. I know that I had Dr. Akil Teher on here, and his son did the same. I mean, was in the same program recently, and the same thing. 20 something hours, but didn't even have to complete it. So I'm sure that that he's at the forefront of trying to get this done. Speaking to doctors about nutrition, I know that he had spoken at a big conference of doctors about nutrition and how he overcame heart disease and hiked to Mount Kilimanjaro. And he didn't have to take bags and bags of medicine for the rest of his life. My gosh, if you're having heart surgery and you can hike Mount Kilimanjaro, do marathons afterwards, and all this amazing accomplishments that he's done, then nothing can stop us. Our body wants to heal itself. When we put in the right nutrients, then our body will heal. As long as we're shoving in all this stuff that's toxic and is filled with who knows what, then of course our bodies are going to respond based on that. If we're putting in toxic ingredients, we're going to feel depleted. We're not going to have energy. And that's talking about a force for life, that you're having that force for life. So anyway, so this is Dr. So you did plant a seed. That was, what you were saying is that you did plant a seed just by having that interaction with her. And I bet you she went back home probably and thought a lot about that because you gave so much information to her. And I'm so excited hearing this story. We've all got to educate ourselves as best as we can in these areas to be ready. And it's not about defending or fighting, but just to have a conversation and saying, well, these are the facts. And I love the way that you have your research that you're able to pull from, right? It's not just like some fact I read off of Facebook, but here are the medical facts. So that I really applaud you for that. And then the fact that, that where you are now is amazing.
Yes, and you just mentioned like the energy this involves, right? And actually, that's a big factor for me as well, right? So having more energy was like one of the first benefits I had when I changed. I just could just feel every time when I worked out, when I went out for some functional fitness or from running and so on. I just felt so energetic and so amazing right after I changed. And I was not on the very healthy vegan diet then. I didn't know about that yet, like the first 1 or 2 weeks. So I had all the replacement products and all the oil and sugar and salt and everything, but still I felt so amazing just from this little change after a few days already. And then I found so much more things which can add to this and give you even more and more and more energy, even beyond the nutrition part of it. So, and I think if we can show this to others, how amazing, transformed we are. Of course, also the medical, the health part of it. I also got rid of my medications. I was also taught you are going to take this the rest of your life. You just have to figure out the right dose. And my doctor actually didn't believe when I was off. And she said, okay, it doesn't make sense to take it anymore because I can't see any sign of the disease anymore, but let's check anyway. She didn't believe it. And yeah, all this adds up to actually being able to inspire others with how you transform and how you are able to share the benefits for yourself, but also to just show that just these personal daily choices can have such a huge impact.
Yeah. And so the doctor that didn't believe, so those are two doctors that didn't believe. Have you did any of them ever come back and say, well, you were right? Or what about other doctor experiences? Have you had one ever that said, yes, I support that?
I had one doctor which actually took the blood tests then, who also is a vegan. And I found out at the appointment when he took the blood test that he's also vegan. He asked us why we want the blood test and so on, and said, "Oh yeah, I'm vegan too, but I don't do it for health. I eat all the junk food. I'm just for the animals." And so he knew about it. I don't think that he's advocating for it or talking to his patients a lot about it. And I'm not sure how the system is here with punishment for that, actually. But so he was vegan. He was not really like into the health part of it, just the saving animals. And he did this for like 30 years already, I think. But so he understood. He didn't try to convince us of anything else. He was totally fine with it. And yeah, that's the only experience I have, because I don't visit doctors often anymore. It's very rare.
Wow. Well, that's wonderful that you did meet one vegan, right? So that's good, and it's shocking that your wife was so attacked by that one doctor. That's
Yeah. Well,
and
my
yes,
wife is very courageous. She didn't let doctors stop her, which I really hold very high for her, because this was also new to her. She was pregnant, and she still believed in it, and still believed more into our own interpretation of science than what any doctor told her, or family or friends who we like. There were also some who were like, "But you're pregnant, shouldn't you be careful?" And it all comes from a good intent, right? So it was they didn't really want to offend us, or want to, like, they didn't even want to protect themselves. I guess they were just worried about us because of their beliefs about it. But still, nothing of this could stop her from finding out her own truth, and from learning herself, and from implementing what she believed in her heart was right. So she's very, very courageous about this. I
that's
love
what.
that.
Yeah, and what is your family, her family and your family, what do they think about this now, about you being vegan? And then I want to hear about the baby, about how that's going. Like, are your families on board with it now or no?
Half of it, or half of the close family. So one side is, the other is not. I had a conversation with my parents right shortly after I found out all of this. I felt like, oh, this is so important, so urgent for them, much more than for me. I felt like I have to tell them, because I want them to live another 30, 40 years healthy with me, see their grandkids and so on. And so I had this phone call where I just threw everything at them, all the facts, all I knew. And yeah, of course this didn't work. And so I just didn't connect to their world first. And so I had this conversation. I had pushback, and I had criticism for, "Are you sure this is good for your child?" and so on. And I had another conversation, because I didn't want to give up, just because this was so important to me, and I felt like I could lose them like any day to some heart attack or stroke with what I knew now about their nutrition. Even though they had not, well, actually they had quite some signs already, and quite some disease. And then I had a second conversation with them, which I approached completely different. And I first totally connected to their world, to what's important to them. And I first understood their world. And then I talked to them why this is so important to me. And I connected it to them seeing their grandchild for a long time and having lots of time with them. And then I was actually able to reach them. And it was quite pushing still. And I'm not sure whether this was really the best approach now, because I was still pushing it very fast on them, but they changed.
Wow.
They transformed their nutrition. They're not 100% vegan, but they're very close, and especially they're very close also to a healthy vegan nutrition. And like my father, for example, does not have diabetes anymore. And
Wow.
yeah, this just is so amazing. I love that. And my sister, I didn't talk directly to my sister about this, because I kind of felt that what I did with my parents was maybe a bit too much, even though it worked. And it was on the edge, and I didn't want to do the same with my sister, and it was not that urgent because she's younger than me. But she changed as well. She also at some point saw what my parents are doing, what we are doing, and she wanted to join just from herself, which is also amazing. And yeah, this is just so great to see and so fulfilling to know that to have this impact on people around you. I just love that.
Yeah,
And
it's amazing.
the other side of the family is still, they stopped criticizing. They
Okay, well, that's
accepted it in a sense,
mhm.
but they don't want to hear anything about it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all right. I mean, just like back to and Dr. Angela Crawford, right? Stages of change. So who knows what's going to be, where they'll be next year? Who knows, right? I mean, just the fact that you have on your family that your dad's diabetes, that was healed. I mean, that's wonderful to be able to show them. I mean, that's just seeing. Nobody has to say anything, other than it's not there anymore, right? That's a huge, powerful tool. So that's amazing. And I'm getting very inspired. And then I see these wonderful comments. So I want to acknowledge them. Trisha is here. Thank you for watching. And then someone else says, I'm not sure who it is, but thank you. This is so inspiring. It's, yes, very inspiring. I feel very hopeful. And we've got my plant-based physicians are part of the Adventist Network. He's now a Facebook friend. And here in Lake County, California, they've joined together with the Blue Zones, Lake County, to help my tiny Romance area. Blue Zone, yes, that's so exciting, because in the Blue Zone, I mean, it's the Loma Linda Seventh-day Adventist community that is the Blue Zone in California, according to the movie. I mean, the documentary. I guess it's with Dan Buckler, I think is his name. The Blue Zones. Have you seen that? But yeah,
Not sure.
it's very interesting. But yeah, so that's exciting. I love hearing that. Whoever made that comment, thank you. Let us know who you are. Give StreamYard permission to use your name. And then Trisha's comment. Let's see. Oh yes, right. That even the hardest of anti-vegans can change. I remember when I first went vegan, I was talking to my stepmom who was not vegan, and she said, I can promise you your dad will never go vegan. I know now that I can take those kind of comments with a grain of salt. Yes. I also believe that the majority of the world populations are followers and not leaders. So once we reach a tipping point with the vegan movement, the followers will follow. Yes. Right. Okay, everybody listening, veganism is cool. Like, we're the cool kids here. We're the change makers. We're the leaders. So if you're listening, you're not vegan, but you're almost there, jump on board with us, right? We're the hip folks over here. We're the ones who are like really moving and have tons of energy. So tell us about, speaking of energy, tell us about A Force for Life. And so when you started working on yourself, where did you do all this self-work? Bjorn, where did you start?
Yeah, so A Force for Life, this is my coaching business where I just want to take all these amazing things I've learned, I've used to transform myself, which I'm using every single day, to share them with others and help other beautiful vegan souls to make this world a better place. And when I have the opportunity to empower, to help someone, to give someone the energy or the drive or the inspiration to do what they feel they're meant to do and to contribute to this world, then this is what I want to do. And I learned all these amazing skills and tools, which are, by the way, they are really simple. They're really simple tools. And it's often like this, right? It's often the simple solutions to simple things which are the most effective in the end. And they're so simple that actually everyone has those skills already. They just not use them in a conscious way. And I learned from many, many books, many, many audiobooks. I took seminars, I took workshops, I took live seminars, and I spent more than $10,000 on courses, and I watched movies and documentaries, and I got coaching myself, quite a lot of coaching, and I still get coaching. And I just developed this for myself because I wanted to transform. I noticed how amazing it is to have more energy. And I had this point where at around, I think, 1 year being vegan, and I was searching for the meaning, for purpose in life, right? I always felt like there's something missing. There has to be more somehow. I saw these amazing role models who have their own purpose in life. They know what they're here for, and they're just so inspiring. And I thought, I want this too, but I don't know what's my purpose. And so I was also reading on this and learning on this and trying to find my own. And then I had this moment it was around 1 year being vegan, where I just could feel like in my whole body. I don't know if you know this feeling when the whole body starts to tingle and you just feel deep in that's the right thing. That's the right thing to do. And that's what I want to do. And I had this with now being 1 year in learning so much about nutrition and veganism and healthy diet, and using the research also in other areas now, not just nutrition, that I want to work on this and want to share this and help make the world a better place. Because I saw after, for me, having these health transformations and more energy, I also saw how I was now able to see what was happening to the animals, and I was able to see what is happening to the planet. I kind of saw this before, but I didn't know this connection. And I was able to see also the spiritual component to this. And this was the moment when I knew this is part of my purpose. And when I decided that I'm going to go into this direction, even though it's not what I learned, and it's not what I was working in at the moment. It was completely different, but I decided this is the right thing, and I want to help others to feel this as well. And then I invested even more into all these learning and growing. And I had a really profound experience, or a really great learning experience shortly after my son was born. So this was before I actually knew that what my purpose was, but we were already vegan, and we were already almost perfect on whole food plant-based diet. And I thought, now I'm kind of invincible. I'm super healthy, super energetic, and when my son will be born, I will be the best dad, the super dad. I will take care of everything. I take off 2 months. I take care of all the household things. I take care of the cooking. I take care of changing the diapers, such that my wife just has to lay down, relax, and recover from the birth, for at least 2 weeks. She can just stay in the bed or on the sofa and doesn't have to do anything. I will take care of all of this. I will have the amazing time with my son. And this was the plan. And it worked for 1 or 2 weeks. And then I totally underestimated the lack of sleep. And I learned that I'm invincible. And I got an infection in the throat where my voice was away. I couldn't swallow anymore. And I did not really know what it is. So I was really in panic that I could infect my tiny newborn son or my wife who was breastfeeding him. And I didn't know if it's dangerous. So, and I was really such low energy that I could just lay in bed all day. I was on medication as well. And so there I was like lying in my bed. My wife, who should lay in the bed actually or on the sofa, was taking care of everything. And I could hear my son screaming in the other room because she, of course, couldn't just hold him all the time. Also had to do then like prepare some food or something. And it was really tough for her. And I just felt like I failed as a dad. And I just felt like I'm not useful for my family. I'm not there for my family. I'm a burden. And now she actually has to take care of me as well. And it might be even dangerous for them. And so this I never wanted to experience again. And after I recovered, luckily I recovered quite quickly, well enough to help them again. And I didn't infect anyone. And it was just me and this infection in the throat. And then I knew I need to learn more about how I can be even healthier and raise my energy even more and be more in control of my energy. And I had the impression that I'm doing almost everything I could on the nutrition side already. So I invested in more personal development and more on being in charge of your emotions and being in charge of the energy state you're in. And then I learned that there's so much more. There's not just physical health. For me, the health was, maybe I was a bit aware that there's, of course, mental health, but mainly it was for me physical. And I learned there's mental health, there's emotional health, there's spiritual health. And I just took it all in. I absorbed everything I could get to be much better prepared when my daughter was born, which was this year in February. And it was a different world. It was so amazing. I again, of course, I had the same plan, wanted to take care of everything, plus my son now, who was 1.5 years. And I prepared even better, and I now knew so much more what I can do to keep my energy up. And then it was just amazing. It was mind-blowing for me because I was able to take care of my son. He had his fixed schedule every single day. He got his meals on time every single day. They were all self-made from us, all whole food, plant-based, super healthy meals. And I took care of my son. I took care of my daughter with everything which was not breastfeeding. I was able to do my sports every single day. I have a daily workout and I didn't skip a single day, even the day after she was born. And I was able to clean the apartment. I was able to go out with my son every single day so he can be in nature. I was even able, since now I was aware of my purpose and what I wanted to do and I knew my mission, I was able to work on this each day at that time, at least 2 hours a day. And I didn't expect this. I thought I paused this for 2 months and see when everything goes back to normal, I can continue. But I was able to do that. Even that. I was like, everybody was to bed, it was late, it was dark outside, and I was still here and preparing a course or being on social media, trying to help people. And this was such a different world. And it is due to the things, the skills and tools I trained the time before. It's not like I turned this on now. It's like I trained it like a muscle for quite some time, and now I was able to use it to actually be there for my family. And was so amazing for me. And I was able to do so much different things than if I compare myself to this introvert, stiff, I don't show emotions guy who didn't want to dance, didn't want to sing. So just to give you an idea, I was invited to give a talk about nutrition at my research institute. They had a health week, and at the first day, they asked me to give. They knew how much I was into this as well, and they asked me to do it. And of course, I said yes and prepared an amazing presentation where my plan was to just plant some seeds, right, and maybe a bit more. I was very optimistic, and then I was in this seminar room. It was still COVID times with lots of restrictions, so there were seats far apart from each other. Nobody was allowed to get close to each other, and this was a room where you usually have these very scientific, technical talks, and that was how the whole room looked like, and that was just the whole atmosphere or the energy of the room, very stiff and very serious. And I thought, I have to change the energy of this room if I want to plant some seeds today. And I didn't care what they might think about me, and I didn't care if I might make myself a fool. I just knew this is necessary to change the energy of this room before I can reach people. So I did something quite crazy, which now I know even more things I could have done. But what I did back then was I changed the energy in the room such that from those people sitting there in their usual, let's see what's coming and looking a bit bored pattern, from their jumping and shouting and dancing in this room. And I did this by jumping on the table. And the first thing I did when the talk started, I jumped on the table and I just shouted at them with full intensity how amazing and awesome they are for being here today and actually being open to listen to something like this. And well, of course, they were absolutely surprised, and I totally turned around the energy of this room. And imagine if I would tell this one of my school friends, they wouldn't believe me because they knew me back then. And this is just such a huge transformation, all of this together, which I was able to do for myself. And I know that everyone can do it. Everyone has the capabilities and has the abilities to use the same things I'm now using every single day, because they're so simple. It's not necessarily easy to use them when you are in a difficult situation, when it actually counts, but it's simple and you can train it like a muscle, and it can work for everyone. And that's why I'm so excited about it. And I think this is especially important for vegans who want to make a difference in the world, who want to inspire others, who want to communicate the message, or who want to have these difficult conversations, who want to go on the street and demonstrate, or who want to maybe take action, rescue an animal, and who want to communicate. I already said that. And those who get into maybe situation where they need this confidence, this vegan confidence. You taught me this word, vegan confidence. I love it. To have this vegan impact. And there, I believe you need to be able to just show up with all you have, to be able to just summon your energy, summon your true self, to show up with what's really important to you, and to just be there and have the impact you dream of.
Yes, amen to that. You're right. And that's, you're talking about building your confidence and getting ready, right? And then as a coach, I mean, it's crucial that we develop these muscles, the muscle of resilience, the muscle of confidence building. So, and it can be very easy looking in the mirror and saying, hey, I got this, right? You're saying, talking to yourself, I mean, that's one way. There are many different ways. But yeah, but the more you do it, you're building your muscle, you're building your muscle, you're building your muscle, right? And that's the key, that it's there. You got a muscle, but maybe it's just all limp, right? How do you build it up? So yeah, and it's exciting. I mean, everything we need is inside of us. So but let me show this comment. I'm Nancy Love, and the exciting thing about Lake County, California, is working to go to blue zones, as this is a very conservative meat and potatoes sad diet area. Yeah, that is exciting. I mean, it's very exciting, and that you're a part of it is exciting, and that we're getting to hear that is exciting. That we're all that when we share this information, this signal, when we share the information, I mean, it really inspires and uplifts everyone else. So, um, let's see. Janice is saying,
Hi,
"Hello,
Shanasi.
American." Hello, Janice. Um, well, I hope y'all can hear me with my signal. But tell us more about A Force for Life and your workshop. If people want to get a hold of you, where they
Yeah,
can
so
find you.
um, I'm mainly active on Facebook, and you can find me there with my profile on my page or my group. And I'm just want to share these tools and share these skills and share how it transformed me in different formats. One of them is I'm launching a 8-week mastermind coaching program, a vegan impact mastermind, where I will have short parts of vegan impact coaching content every week, and then we will have this amazing group coaching format where we all like combine our amazing minds to one mastermind and help each other with whatever is coming up on their vegan journey and on their journey to impact others. And then I also give a free course like this Saturday, where I will go exactly on these tools I described, which make the big difference for me with my daughter, and for me with showing up when it's needed, and with actually it's like coming out of whenever you notice that you are sad or depressed or frustrated or angry, and you know that this is not the right place to start if you want to influence someone, or if you want to vibrate your message to the world. Then the moment you are sad, you will do this in a sad way, and when you are angry, you will do this in an angry way, and if you are in pain, you will maybe do this in a painful way. This might still reach people, but I believe that you come from a much more impactful and effective state when you are actually who you really are. And if you're your true self, and if you are in a state of really high energy, if you are excited, or if you are in coming from your heart, if you are coming with fire or whatever is needed in that moment. And that is why it is so important to be able to switch into the emotion or into the state which you need in that moment. And it's not just about you feeling better in that moment, but it's also about you uh, being able to show up for the planet, for the animals, for other people, with just all you have. And that's what I will show in the course on Saturday. You can also find this on my page or on my Facebook profile, or maybe we can share the link.
Share the links
It's
afterwards. Yeah, in the comments. We can share it, and definitely share all this information because it's so important, right? For the
yes,
workshops, and then the master for the 8 weeks. I mean, so let me. So definitely, everyone should reach out to you, right? I mean, we all. It's wonderful when we can get the most help that we need. I need people to help me and support me. Thank God I have them, right? Um, and so there's nothing to be ashamed of, right? We all have feelings. We all It's what we do with the feelings. And also it's knowing that we're not to have a reaction, not to attack, but to know I feel sad or I feel angry, but I'm not going to throw anger at someone, you know. So yeah. And was there anything else? Did I cut you off?
No, you didn't. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just really excited and really grateful for you having me here. And I'm just so happy whenever we are able together to help others, to help empower other vegans. It's for me, it doesn't really matter if they join your group coaching program or the one I offer is the right one for them or something completely different. As long as we together as the vegan community can impact and make this world a better place, then this is all I'm about.
You're right. I know the same thing for me, right? Some people want to go to your group coaching. So I got a group coaching. I'll tell everyone it's starting next Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time, $150 for 12 weeks, which is nothing. It's a $4,000 value. It's the first time I'm ever doing it. So it's exciting. They're change makers in there. So DM me, message me to find out and get signed up. But right. So whoever you want to work with, the main thing is find someone to work with to heal yourself, right? There's nothing wrong with healing, right? And nothing wrong with having wounds, but we don't want those wounds to grow and grow and grow. We want to heal ourselves so that we can inspire others. If we're taking wounds with us, it's hampering the process. We're not living in, we're not speaking from an elevated state. We're speaking from a hurt place. So work on yourself. And like I said before, with with either one of us or even our friend June, who's a life coach, he's doing a group coaching soon. Just find someone. And look at what Trisha's saying. The greatest of all things lie outside of our comfort zones. Amen to that, right? We don't want to just sit around on the couch being comfortable. We got to grow. We have to grow. We have to take chances. The more we do hard things, the hard things become easy and the easy things become effortless. Yes, amen. Amen. Your mind is a muscle. And it's about working that mental muscle, right? The meditation muscle, also the calming muscle, right? All these are muscles to work on. So
True. Outside of
yeah,
the comfort zone, that's where the magic is.
that's right. Exactly. You want to be a little uncomfortable because you're growing. You're pushing through through the soil, up, right? Up to the sun. So, right? Yeah. So, Bjorn, thank you so much for coming. And well, everyone, thank you for watching. And please, please reach out to us for help. If you need help, if you want to get in our coaching programs, we're here to support you. Put your comments down if you're watching on the replay. If you have any questions for us, please let us know, because that's why we're here. We're here to help. We're here to help you. And so thanks, everyone. It's been beautiful. Thank you, Bjorn.
Thank you,
Everyone have a
Marikita.
blessed Namaste, vegan, right?
Namaste, vegan.
Bye, everybody.